The paragraphs in an essay explore an idea in detail. You've told your reader where you're going to take them in your introduction, so now let them explore it. You're going to show them the highlights in the text, and you're going to use these highlights to support the journey you're taking them on in the essay. Structuring your paragraph in a clear and cohesive way will help your reader enjoy the experience without being lost or wasting precious time. My name is Bernadette Tedesco, and in this lesson we're going to be looking at writing body paragraphs in relation to Shirley Jackson's text, We've Always Lived in the Castle. In this lesson, I'm going to be looking at what's included in a body paragraph. I'm going to be talking about how to structure a body paragraph, and then I'm going to end by giving you some tips and tricks to help you with your body paragraph. Now, a body paragraph is a lot of the essence of your essay, and so it covers a lot of the study design dot points. In particular, you're going to be demonstrating your ability to employ appropriate meta-language. You're going to be exploring and analysing explicit and implicit ideas, and you're going to possibly add in some context, whether that be historical, social, or cultural, and looking at values within the text, in particular the author's values. The body paragraph also ensures that you meet the study design dot point of planning, constructing, and editing an analytical piece of writing, in particular your ability to respond to explicit set texts. The body paragraph also allows you the opportunity to demonstrate that you can plan, construct, and edit analytical writing. In particular, your ability to respond explicitly to set topics. And it's really essential that you make sure your body paragraphs do stick to the topic. Your ability to develop and sustain your ideas. Your ability to explore and refine your organisational structure. Demonstrate knowledge of the text, of course. Demonstrate understanding of purpose, audience, and context. And it's also an opportunity for you to demonstrate your ability to use appropriate syntax, punctuation, and spelling. So the body paragraph really is the essence of your essay. So what's included in a body paragraph? A paragraph addresses the key terms that we've identified in that essay topic within a sub-argument or focus. What that means is you're going to address the big picture essay topic and you're going to break it down into those little sub-arguments. You are going to address one idea per body paragraph. So if you're trying to embed a second idea, you need to move to a second body paragraph. So one idea per body paragraph. You're going to incorporate relevant evidence into a body paragraph. This is where you need to prove what you're saying. And a body paragraph also needs to deconstruct specific moments. So you don't just say that it occurs in the text, but you analyze that moment within the text in order to support your analysis. You also need to link this evidence that you're going to be using back to that main contention that you developed. And in doing that, it's going to help you interpret the text. Basically, a body paragraph has a whole heap of different bits of evidence, meta-language, moments from the text that you're going to be using, and you hold that together through a topic sentence and a linking sentence, which helps keep it contained and on topic. So this is a body paragraph structure that you can follow. It begins with a topic sentence, and the topic sentence is where you explain what idea you're going to be exploring in that body paragraph. It needs to be based on an idea, not an example or a character. It's what idea from the text are you going to be exploring to prove your overall contention. It needs to be clear, relevant, and assertive. You don't want a topic sentence to be too long. And you also need to begin with an appropriate transition phrase. Now, the transition phrase will change depending on where in the essay your paragraph appears. So a first body paragraph will have a different type of transition sentence than a middle or an end. And it also depends on how one body paragraph connects to the previous one. The transition phrase helps your body paragraphs connect and flow. The next thing that you do after writing your topic sentence is you provide evidence and you explore that evidence. Now, it says that this is step 2 and 3, but this can actually occur in any order. You might explore the evidence and then quote it and then explore a bit more. When you're writing at this academic level, there is some flexibility in how you include and analyze your evidence. When you're putting your evidence in, you want to think about what is your first example of a moment or a concept or a character that supports what you're saying. Your evidence is mainly going to be in the form of quotes. So when you're putting your quotes in to help blend your quotes in smoothly, you want to keep them nice and short. So a quote between 1 to 10 words is much easier to blend than a really long quote. It sounds much more natural. Now, if you are going to have a quote that is only 1 word long, then you need to make sure that it is a keyword, not just a generic word or a character name. It has to be something really specific to the text. You want to make sure that whatever quote you put in, that you don't leave them hanging. What that means is you don't just insert a quote without leading into it, and you don't just put a quote in without exploring it. Every time you use evidence, you should explore that evidence. And don't overdo it. You need to be selective with your quotes. Often I get asked, how many quotes should a body paragraph have? And there is no right or wrong answer. But you would want to have at least a couple, and you don't want to have every second sentence being or every sentence being a quote, because remember, for every quote that you put in, you should explore it. So don't overdo it, and don't just use them as a substitute for retelling the essay. Once you put your quote in, you explore that quote, and you can explore that quote and analyze it by using meta language to explain what that quote is actually doing, how that quote creates meaning. You refer to the authorial views and values when you're exploring the evidence that you've included. What insights do we get into the way the author thinks and feels about the world through what the characters are saying? And you also need to try and consider the different audiences and context that and how they would respond to that evidence. The next thing you do is you repeat step 2 and 3. So you would transition into your second major example or moment, and then you would explore that second piece of evidence and repeat it again for a third example and exploration. And then the final step is what is sometimes known as a linking sentence. It's basically a summative sentence at the end of your body paragraph that links all of that evidence together and brings it back to the essay topic. A linking sentence really helps you to stay on topic and helps your reader understand how all of this evidence relates to each other, relates to your big idea, and relates to the essay topic. So a linking sentence just helps bring it all together. All right, so I'd like you to have a go at this activity here. The essay topic for this body paragraph sample is "We've Always Lived in the Castle examines the consequences of isolation and confinement. Discuss." What I want you to do is I want you to identify the elements of the essay of a body paragraph structure within this sample. So read the body paragraph below. Then use the key here on the right and identify the 5 elements of structure within this paragraph here. Good luck. Okay, so how'd you go? Hopefully you had something that looked a little bit like this. And you'll note that, just as I explained in the structural slide earlier, that the evidence and the explore is sort of mixed in together. It doesn't have to be in that rigid order. So the topic sentence reads, "A positive consequence of isolation and confinement is that it allows the Blackwood sisters to be free from being controlled by their father or Charles." So this is a good topic sentence. It's really clear. It is a little bit too focused on specific characters, but we can see that it's going to be a body paragraph about being controlled, and it's going to look at that being one of the positive consequences of isolation and confinement. It has some good stuff here. It's accurate, but there's some things that we can improve on. The body paragraph then moves into providing evidence and exploring that evidence. For example, Constance has control over who she sees and what she does. She has no one telling her what to do. So we have this statement here which provides an example of Constance no longer being controlled. Even though she takes care of Mary Cat and Uncle Julian, she's happy to do so and isn't treated like a slave like she was by her parents and by Charles. So this is a quote from the text. You'll notice it's only 3 words long. It blends in nice and smoothly. Being isolated with Mary Cat allows the sisters to become dependent on and protected by each other, and Constance is able to play a parental role, dictating routines, cleanliness, and the order of her own day without a man interfering and bossing her around. So it's explained here that it's sort of explaining what it means to not be treated like a slave. She dictates what she does because there's no one else telling her what she has to do. Mary Cat's isolation also gave her freedom from fulfilling expected gender roles. So this here is the word that helps move between the first example and the second example, the use of the word also. And we see that this is a repeated process of evidence explore. It's actually flipped it a little bit with giving the explore first and then the evidence. I feel like, as you can see, there's disparity with the amount of time spent on the first piece of evidence and the lack of time spent on the second. It's sort of an uneven, unbalanced body paragraph. So that's something that would need to be looked at as well when you're editing. Mary Cat's isolation also gave her freedom from fulfilling expected gender roles, such as dressing and behaving in a servile way and having boyfriends. So she didn't have to act like she was lower than anyone, and she didn't have to fulfill those gendered expectations of having boyfriends. By the end of the novel, both sisters are able to embrace the freedom that their isolation and confinement brings. So we have that link back to the essay topic here, showing that the consequences are not always negative. So we have a really clear linking sentence that brings us straight back to the essay prompt using some of those keywords. It does get a little bit repetitive because we've used those exact words, isolation, confinement, consequences, in the topic sentence up here. It sounds a little bit repetitive, and so that's something else that could be improved, using synonyms for some of those keywords. All right, so here are some tips and tricks to help you with your writing of your body paragraph. So a topic sentence should be strong. So for it to be strong, it needs to be idea-based. And what I mean by idea-based is that it's not based on an example or a specific character. And you'll notice in that previous sample that it was sort of really narrowed down to Mary Cat and Constance and Charles and their father. So to make it a stronger topic sentence, you could look at and focus on that idea of the freedom that it can give rather than narrowing it down to specific characters. And what that does is it allows you to bring in more examples to expand beyond just those mentioned in the topic sentence. A topic sentence that is strong is also clear, relevant, and assertive. That means it's not posing the possibility of it being wrong. It's just a statement that you then explore. And then if there is nuance to the topic sentence, you can explore that later on. A topic sentence also needs to start with an appropriate transition phrase. The other tip and trick for evidence is that it's blended naturally into the body paragraph, and there'll be a lesson that will help you develop your topic sentences coming up, and another lesson that will help you use evidence and quotes in a really fluent, natural way coming up as well. So if these are things that you struggle with, please keep your eye out for those lessons and make sure that you have a look at them. Another tip and trick to help you with your body paragraph is to make sure that you explore the evidence that you've given. As I noted, every time you bring in a quote or a piece of evidence, you need to explore it. And you do this by discussing the features of the text. Is the quote that you're using creating meaning by using a particular feature? Like it might be about narrative viewpoint, or it might be a type of figurative language. And in unpacking that feature of the text, you're analysing that quote. Another thing that you could do is refer to the authorial views and values. Is that quote giving us insight into meaning by showing us something that the author thinks and feels? And finally, is the quote that you've used. You could explore it by looking at how different audiences might respond to that evidence. So the 1950s audience compared to a contemporary audience, we might respond to that evidence in different ways. And it might also, the quote that you've used, might also give us insight into what is happening historically or socially within the text. So you could explore the quote in that way. Finally, you end with that linking sentence. Make sure that in your linking sentence, you do not introduce your next paragraph. Some people, for example, feel that it flows better if I start hinting at the next paragraph in that linking sentence. And it can be done, but it's hard to do without introducing something new. And a linking sentence shouldn't be introducing new information. A linking sentence is about bringing all that evidence together and tying it back to the idea in the topic sentence. And specifically, what your contention is and how that idea develops your contention. That's the purpose of a linking sentence. So be careful, no new information in your linking sentence. It's really about bringing it all together. And remember, a new idea belongs in a new paragraph. So don't introduce your next paragraph in your linking sentence. All right, so I'd like you to have a go at this activity now. What I want you to do is I want you to reread that basic body paragraph sample that we looked at earlier, and I want you to identify whether the structural features here, those tips and tricks, have been included. And if you think that they have been included, then you drag it down to here. Or if it hasn't been included, then you put it here. So think about, do you think that the topic sentence is focused on an idea, or is it focused on something else? Good luck. Okay, so how'd you go? Hopefully you were able to recognize that the topic sentence was not idea-based. I mentioned that earlier. I said that the topic sentence was more about Constance, Merricat, and Charles and their father, and so it's more focused on the characters than the idea. However, the topic sentence was clear, relevant, and concise. It was a nice short sentence, and it clearly outlined what the body paragraph was going to talk about. The evidence that was used was blended in smoothly so that it felt natural, it flowed naturally into the sentences, and the evidence was relevant and specific. However, when the evidence was being explored, it didn't bring in any of the text features or any meta language, and it also didn't talk about any of the author's purpose, their views or values. So there was a missed opportunity there. There was also not any discussion of the context or the audience. It did, however, end with a link, a really clear link back to the topic and the contention. So hopefully that helps you recognize things that a basic body paragraph does do and areas that that basic body paragraph can improve on. Okay, so hopefully after watching this lesson, you now have a good understanding of the need for key terms from the topic to be the focus of your body paragraph. You also should understand that a body paragraph should focus on one idea per paragraph, and you need to ensure your idea is clear at the commencement and closure of your body paragraph. Remember, at the start and the end, you'll be focusing on that idea, and everything else in the middle is unpacking that idea. Try to use 2 or 3 key moments throughout your body paragraph. So that might be 2 or 3 quotes, 2 or 3 events from the text, or 2 events and 1 particular feature, like a symbol, throughout that body paragraph to help make sure that your idea is strong enough to withstand that analysis. This enhances your analysis and demonstrates your ability to support your points.